Hello friends and welcome back. So today we're going to be taking a look at the mod Lost Colonies Vesta. Now this mod, I really enjoyed it. So it's 500 credits. What exactly do you get for 500 credits? You get the Lost Colony of Vesta. So basically a new quest hub, essentially. Comes with one longer quest and then four shorter side quests, completing the whole thing. For me, my runtime was right around 4 hours. So for 4 hours of gameplay at $5, I find that to be a very good deal. Typically, when I'm looking at the $5 price point, I'm looking at like a minimum of 90 hours. I consider it kind of like a movie rental. Um, expect it to entertain me for the evening, but with this one, I did get substantially more content than I was expecting. The writing is, I would say, it's a step up from the Milk Artist's last endeavor, which was Lost Colonies Tarawa. So the writing was definitely a step up. It held my attention. The voice acting as well was a step up. It was a lot of the same voice actors, and I think the difference was the casting. So basically, there was a lot more appropriate casting with different voice actors fitting the characters well. And I think that kind of made all the difference. Like with the last one, I don't think there was a problem with the voice acting per se. I think it was a matter of having the wrong people do the wrong parts. Whereas this one, it was very different. The right people were in the right parts. But we're going to go ahead and get in it. You have like a nice little overview here, and we're going to talk about the things I like. So this quest begins at the consulate for the Freestar Collective, and I'm going to just show you the opening scene because there is a spot you need to stand in particular to trigger this. The consulate for the Freestar Collective is on the left-hand side as you're heading towards the rock. You'll head down the left path, and you'll find it there.
You're looking at ghosts, stranger. 3 of them. All ex-UC. All disappeared after the war. Defected. The woman on the left, that's Celine Trask, surgeon turned field executioner. Top right is Mira Kesslin, tactical comms. And him, Jorel Sachs, infantry captain, responsible for mass civilian casualties. I won't discuss those details here. They all defected together, slipped into Freestar space. Some say they died. I say they went dark. I've been trying to find someone with flexibility. I don't suppose you're interested in a ghost hunt?
So that gives us where the quest begins and the general premise of this. So after you talk to him for a little bit, the quest is going to send you to the moon of Vista that is in the Lunera system, which is relatively close to the Cheyenne system. So pretty easy to find. You'll land on the moon of Vesta, and there is going to be like a little point of interest there. Nothing special point of interest wise. It is just the UC listening post. It's been cleared of enemies, and then the mod author also turned off the lights to make it kind of dark and creepy. Nothing super duper special. I think feedback on that I would probably give is use points of interest that are not used within the main quest if we're going to recycle points of interest. My opinion on that is basically that the main quest uses those points. It has like such a small pool that players see those points of interest so frequently that even if you shut off the lights, I kind of know the full layout of the place. So it's like not really challenging to navigate, but there were some good things I want to discuss about that first point of interest, and it's mainly on the exterior. So, what I want to discuss basically when you land on this moon is one of the first things I noticed was the skybox. We can actually see Vesta in the skybox itself. So, it's these like tiny details to attention that almost always I catch, because that is something I'm always paying attention to within the game of Starfield is the skybox, because it is probably of Bethesda's games, what they did with the skybox of Starfield is absolutely special. Bethesda has always done a good job of making the skybox really good within their games. But they definitely within Starfield, the skybox was a focal point of the games, and they just did a spectacular job. And I just like the fact that the mod author he pays attention to that and pays attention to where he puts his points of interest, so that there is actually a good skybox. In majority of the moons within this game, they're actually tidally locked, so you can figure out which side of the moon is facing a planet, and determine that with pretty good accuracy. On like 90% of the moons within Starfield are tidally locked. There's only like a small percentage of them that are not tidally locked. So like and that's the same case within reality. So like if we look at the moons within our own solar system, the vast majority of them are tidally locked. So not only is Starfield kind of paying attention to the science, but it sets up some really good aesthetics, so you can kind of like predict things. And like mod authors can, when they're placing points of interest for storytelling purposes, they can go ahead and pick out really good locations that have very awesome skyboxes, like this one in particular, where we're actually able to, see Vesta from its moon, kind of foreshadowing where we're going to. But I think we're going to go ahead and kind of like move on to the next section. I just wanted to make note of that mod author did an awesome job in making sure that the skybox was an optimal skybox for visual aesthetics. It's just one of those really nice touches I'd like to see within like storytelling mods. So another notable aspect of this particular mod is that there are new additional lines for Sarah Morgan. I don't think they're new. I think that they're just cut content, and he's pulled them from the game file and basically repurposed them for this mod. I think Sarah Morgan had some dialogue around Vesta. There is a couple mentions of Vesta within the lore, and Bethesda might have had more story options planned. I'm going to share a little bit of this dialogue, not all of it, because I want you to be surprised by it. But this was a very nice touch. I'm assuming he did not contact Emily Arroyo, I believe is her name, that does the voice of Sarah Morgan, and have her read lines. I'm assuming this was pulled out of like game files and this was dropped content. But we're going to take a listen to a few lines and just see what it's all about.
This isn't exactly a keyless city, but the Freestar Collective definitely runs the place. I'm going to be upfront with you. I'm not happy visiting anything related to the Freestar Collective, but you lead and I'll follow. You see, my father was killed during the opening shots of the Colony War. After the Freestar Collective started farming Vesta, and the UC pushed back, my father was one of the many diplomats sent in to arbitrate. After the talks broke down, war broke out on Vesta, and all of the UC diplomats were evacuated from Freestar space. Sorry, but I can't.
There's actually a handful of other lines as well added to this. If you are unaware of the lore for Vesta, I think it's mainly told through some of the loading screens. Likely they had bigger plans for that, and then it dropped, and they just kind of incorporated it into loading screens. But basically, Vesta is the start of the Colony Wars. Some people started settling on there, violating the Narion Treaty. Then, the UC got kind of ticked off and the bombardment of Vesta happened. And what is basically told to players that all died on Vesta that refused to evacuate. So that's basically the lore of it. It's not a whole ton. So that's kind of one of the things that excited me about this mod, was expanding upon the pre-existing lore and adding a little bit more character to that aspect of the story itself. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the actual point of interest. What is it? I think it's called Vesta Prime is the settlement, and it's a rather interesting settlement. So this interior to Vesta, this is based off of a unique point of interest that is found in the Beta-Tarian system. It's Beta-Tarian 2. I forget the exact name of the point of interest. Very, you should probably go there. It's a lot of fun, the point of interest, but he's definitely done some heavy edits to it, but it looks like that was the base of this. It looks like he also raised up the ceiling, and that's probably going to be the next thing we talk about, is how this point of interest was structured, because it definitely utilizes the boost pack a lot. One of point of criticism I would have is the use of non-functional doors. This is kind of a pet peeve of mine, but like Bethesda does it, all mod authors seem to do it, where they use non-functional doors to give the illusion of scale. Myself, I would rather you cave in a door or make it look like it's non-functional to kind of give scale, than put in what looks to be perfectly functional doors, because that kind of gets the hopes up within the player, oh, look at this, I found a door, I wonder what's behind it, and then you walk up to it to just figure out it's a non-functional door. So that's a pet peeve. I'm not really gonna hold it against the mod author, because everyone does that, including Bethesda themselves, including just about every mod author I've seen. This mod in particular, though, it does happen to make a very heavy use of non-functional doors, so that's kind of why I'm bringing it up here. But we're going to go ahead and kind of move on to one of the things I thought was the best aspect of this mod. So the way that this point of interest is designed, it really favors boost pack exploration and travel, because it's very vertical. Even the interior very much promotes you to basically be using your boost pack. So one of my suggestions I would make to players is to use a vanilla boost pack for this mod if you're playing through it. If you have the Dark Star, Starborn boost pack, I would switch it out and use a vanilla, because it's very much designed for a vanilla boost pack. With a lot of the distances, it feels like it was play tested for the vanilla boost pack in mind. And how this point of interest is designed, it's a dam, and it has this big, huge, kind of just cliff, and you're exiting from different points within the dam, sometimes on the rooftop, sometimes in the middle, sometimes at the bottom, and you have wonderful opportunities to basically just free fall off the top of it down to the bottom for very fast travel options. And it just, I think it really set the mood in a way that promoted very fun gameplay. Because as you can see right here, we have this giant cliff face that is just the face of the dam itself, and you can kind of just jump down and get all the way down to the bottom rather quickly by using your boost pack. It makes just for very fun and entertaining travel, and I thought this was a very unique design concept to include aspects like this to basically make the point of interest or the settlement part of the gameplay itself. But we're going to go ahead and move on to a little bit of the voice acting, because I want to share a little bit of the voice acting with you that I was particularly fond of.
Agriculture Unit V17 online. Task: loop, 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 plow, seed, Defend. Error command. Tree exceeded threshold.
So I very much enjoyed the robot character. I do like it when mod authors voice act robots or have someone voice act a robot opposed to using like an AI generated voice. There's like that temptation of basically using like a text to speak voice for robots, but I like that having it voice acted by like an actual person because it kind of gives it more of those droids quirkiness from like Star Wars opposed to some hyper analytical, soulless monster. It gives a little bit of soul and character to robots themselves, and it's why I like the mod Derek, because it's actually voice acted by a person, and he kind of puts a little bit of character and soul into that particular character. So that's one of the aspects I do like. I think everything overall, I was very pleased with the voice acting in this. The voices matched the characters very well. But we're going to go ahead and move on because the mod author in this mod does make very good use of puzzles. And I want to share one with you. I do have a little bit of feedback on the puzzles, but I think he makes great use of puzzles within here. We're going to take a look at two of them that I like in particular. I'm not going to look at the third because I don't want to give you the solution to everything, nor am I going to give you the solution to these two. So, but we're going to take a look at the first one, which is a nice puzzle that I really much enjoyed. So the first puzzle has you going to like an antenna array at the very top of the dam. One thing I really liked about this was like the elevator ride up. I'm not sure if you're going to get this stormy, gloomy weather when you play through. I don't know if the mod author set that. I don't think he did. I think this is just coincidental. But it very much set the mood for me. Like we have this stormy, wonderful weather going on where basically lightning strikes in the background. But we have this like awesome elevator ride up to the top of the dam. And the mod author actually has two elevators. He's got one on the interior of the point of interest where it's an actual elevator and not just like a fast travel point. And then we have this one where it basically takes you up the kind of the face of the dam itself, and you get like a wonderful overview of like the farmland below. If you happen to get the same stormy weather as me, you'll get nice cool lightning strikes and stuff off in the distance, which very much does set the mood well for this narrative where we're kind of tracking down like these three fugitives that are hiding amongst the colony of Vesta. But as we approach this tower, you're going to notice there are no steps at the bottom. There's none whatsoever. So like, how do we get up? This is a absolutely awesome puzzle that I very much enjoyed because it's a platforming puzzle. As you can see, we don't see any steps here. What we get is little platforms tucked on the inside that you have to platform to. And this is why I would say go in with a vanilla boost pack, because it looks like these distances were judged for a vanilla boost pack and not, using something like the Starborn boost pack that's available in Darkstar. But nice little puzzle there, like how do you get up here, and it gives you this little platforming option. Not a lot of people make use of platforming within Starfield, and I like that. And that's one of the things like I really loved about this was the mod itself made a lot of use of the boost pack with the design of the settlement itself, with that puzzle there. But we're going to go ahead and move on to another puzzle that I liked, and I liked it for weird reasons, and I'll explain. So this next puzzle is part of a side quest where you have to help the wheat processor for this settlement. Now, this is a very interesting puzzle. Kind of chit-chats to you a little bit here, but essentially you have to do a certain combination of like switches and a proper procedure to like turn on this fan correctly. Now, I did absolutely fail this when I tried it, but that is going to be one of the aspects I liked about it. One of the aspects I did not like about it was the fact that every single switch had a lock attached to it. And this is going to be probably the biggest feedback that I'm going to give to the mod author here is do not go ham with locks. Like they're fine and dandy. You want to lock a door occasionally or lock chests, but do not lean upon it as like a gameplay mechanic. Most people do not really enjoy the lockpicking mechanic within Starfield itself. I know it gets a ton of criticism because it's really repetitive, and then getting like 5 novice locks in a row, it basically just boils down to like busy work. It's not really challenging or difficult to solve these. It's just time consuming. So that's going to be a little bit of the feedback I have is try not to like this whole entire puzzle sequence right here would have been a masterpiece if we did not have the lock mechanics. If you just straight up just removed it, you have switches to pull, and you need to get the correct order and sequence to get these switches pulled. That would have been fine by itself. It did not need the locks on every single switch. I don't think it adds anything to like the puzzle at all, except tedious busy work. So there's kind of like my 2 cents on that. Rely a little bit less on lockpicking. I would probably like if I was making a mod, I would cap myself on the number of locks you're allowed to use within like the mod itself. But we're going to get to the part that I really like. So you're basically supposed to kind of look at this diagram and figure out which switches to pull itself. And one of my favorite puzzle solving methods is basically I just start pulling switches and figure out what happens. And usually I can solve that because usually Bethesda, when they do their puzzles, they're kind of they're very forgiving, and they kind of allow you to make incorrect decisions. But as we're going to see here, we get some very real repercussions when we fail this. So that is exactly what's going to happen to me in like a few seconds here. Is I am going to pull the wrong switch and we get a mission failed. So basically, I did not finish and complete this quest. I failed it. I will have to try again next Unity, which I think is kind of perfect. It gives you real repercussions for your actions, which has been like a common complaint in Starfield. And, I do like to see some real repercussions for my actions every once in a while. So I can't just, brute force someone's puzzle. But we are going to go ahead and move on to another side quest, and it's basically a side quest that is a repeatable quest. And I want to point it out because there is a triggering event to it, and I think a lot of people could miss it if I don't show you where the triggering event is.
You got a sec? I've got a business proposition for you. I'm in apartment 6C. That's 6 Charlie. See yourself in. Affirmative. Whispers, but don't know anything definitive. UC military is the largest force in the galaxy. Hard to keep up with the current state of things. Dismissed.
So after that, you'll meet up in his apartment and he's going to give you a task. The task is going to be basically to track down 3 mechs in the neighboring area, pull out, I believe it's their microcells, and then deliver them to him, and he will pay you handsomely for them. And then he gives you basically a repeatable activity where you can find mechs in different areas and deliver the microcells to him. So it's a new, like I would call it a smaller point of interest. It's basically like a downed mech. They will only spawn in areas that are either controlled by the United Colonies or the Free Star collection or collective. And so it's limited to like how many, where they spawn. That is a nice change that I do like from Terua, where the repeatable quest, um, one, it spawned everywhere, and it's just spawned way too frequently, and it was like getting problematic. Like I couldn't find points of interest because like my procedural generation was being occupied by I think it was like a Xeno research lab, mobile Xeno research lab. It was. This one, it's limited to certain systems. It doesn't have the lock picking mechanic. You basically just show up to find the downed mech, then pull the microcell out of it, and then bring them back to him, and he'll buy them from you, which is a nice little fun activity, and it kind of makes it rewarding to come back to Vesta, even though I will probably still be coming back to this area, to utilize the vendors. Plus, I really like the terrain and location, so I think it's a very nice addition there. But we're kind of going to move on here. There are some things I want to point out in the writing that definitely improved. So there were some climatic moments within the writing which really grabbed your attention, and I'm going to share one that kind of really grabbed my attention, and I really enjoyed it, and it kind of pulled me into the story and made me care a little bit.
Still breathing. Damn thing was rigged. Timed fuse, burnout core. But we got what we needed. Pulled the whole drive before it lit up.
So that was a nice, very climatic moment there, and kind of like basically after you like finish all this stuff, you're going to track down the 3 fugitives, and you are given choices on how you want to handle that, whether you want to kill them or just accept their gene tag, and then they just go off into hiding again. That way you can kind of report them dead, but they're not really dead. And I am going to kind of share one of the moments I thought was pretty good, where it kind of makes you have like a little bit of heart, especially because you run into one of these fugitives and they are hiding, but they are not doing anything kind of bad or ill. They're just trying to live out their life in hiding.
Well, well, well. So it is. Took longer than I thought, honestly. I didn't come to Vesta to hide. I came to try and fix what I broke. You know the soil's poisoned, the air is wrong? That was me, partly. The chemical agents I developed during the war, they were never meant to be permanent. But no one cleaned them up. Vesta was once a golden world, before war ripped through it. I like to think I'm doing my part in cleaning up mess I'm partly responsible for. I suppose it is. You know I can't do that. I've seen what they do to people like me. I won't be dragged away in chains. take it. It's useless. I'm leaving Vesta. You have my word. And maybe that's not worth much, but I suppose it's time I start over.
So basically, after you track down each of the three, they kind of give you like their villain monologue where they kind of explain their actions. You know, some of them are better than others, some of them a little bit more evil, and you kind of have to make the moral judgment call on who you allow to escape and cover their death, or who do you kill and then, you know, bring back their gene tag. So that does give some interesting dynamics. Basically, you have several different possible ways that you could end this quest. There's a lot of different role play options as well. So I think this is basically like a stellar quest in itself. I loved all the what is it, the side quests where you're kind of like helping out the settlement itself and find some stuff. But let's talk about defects. So I only found one defect, and it was basically I think it was missing voice lines, but I will share what I mean with you in just a second here. So essentially, as we like approach this like penultimate area of the quest itself, you're going to get a dialogue that triggers from Sarah Morgan. Now, on mine, there's no audio files for it. I was able to read the subtitles. Now, this could be because she was like 5 miles behind me because I was using my boost pack to travel, because this the layout of this settlement is very much designed for boost pack exploration, so that could have been the cause, or this could have been, you know, some kind of defect that occurred on the Xbox Series S. I'm not sure which one it is. But if you, dear viewer, experience the same thing, please let me know in the comments below. It helps mod authors make corrections to kind of fix these things. But yeah, there just was no audio. You know, it still had the subtitles, so I was still able to read it. This was the only defect that I experienced while playing this. Otherwise, everything ran smoothly, and this is like a minor defect. But I think we're going to go ahead and move on to my closing thoughts. So overall, what I am going to say is, if I was going to rate this 1 to 10, I would give this probably like an 8.7. It's not the best writing I've seen, but it is pretty darn good writing. And price wise, for 500 credits, this is more than sufficiently priced. I was able to get 4 hours of gameplay out of it. Things I really like. I really liked the use of puzzles in the side quests. The repeatable quest was a lot less intrusive upon the procedural generation than Tiroa. I believe he updated Tiroa to kind of limit the spawn rate for those mobile Xeno labs a little bit. But yeah, a lot less intrusive, which is a good thing, because I know if you're like me, you have other mods that are kind of fleshing out your procedural generation with some really well handcrafted points of interest, and you kind of want to see those pop up. So yeah, I'm thinking about a 9. Things that I absolutely love and makes this unique is the design and layout of Vesta. So it was laid out in basically, you know, it's inside of a dam, and you're, you know, flying up and down kind of the side of the dam constantly throughout this quest, which makes for some very great boost pack exploration. My suggestion is use one of the vanilla boost packs, because it seems to be designed with the vanilla boost pack in mind. So if you have like one of those boost packs that allows you to fly infinitely, you might want to leave that at home, at least for your initial playthrough. That way you can kind of enjoy the platforming experience and the boost pack exploration. There was some good moments with what would I say? with the story itself, it did have some heightened moments. The voice acting, I think this was a vast improvement over Tirawa, and I think that just comes down to getting the voice actors in the appropriate roles. So, like, no one seemed out of place for the role they were doing. It seemed like the talent was very well organized for what roles they were doing. Like, everyone seemed to be a good fit for the role they were playing, which was a little bit better than Tirua. I think Tirua kind of a combination of not the best writing and not the best voice casting, where we're putting the best voice actors in the best roles kind of deal, caused it to come off like emotionally flat. This did not come off emotionally flat. Like that last end scene that I did share with you, it did have a lot of emotion because you do a side quest with that particular character, and you kind of have a little bit of emotional investment, as well as like the explosion where we get this nice climatic scene as well. As far as like gameplay goes with combat, the mod author used recycled points of interest, so it wasn't like spectacular gameplay, nor was it dull. They were proper boss fights, so if you saw the one, did I show one? I don't think I showed one, but they were like level 250 on my game. I'm not sure if they're scaled to your level, but they were, relatively challenging in proper boss fights. So overall, my opinion of this, I'm going to go ahead and give it like an 8.7. I'm kind of really tempted to give it a 9. I think it's a very good value at $5. It gives you a ton of content and adds a new kind of settlement location to everything. But as always, friends, please enjoy the rest of your evening.